Hello, welcome to the Samsung Developer Program live video chat. I am Diego Lizarazo and I am going to be hosting today's chat that is going to give us a chance to connect with all of you, the Samsung developers, people that are creating things with Samsung technologies, and hopefully we will be able to answer some questions and dive deeper into some technical content that you may be interested in. A little bit about me. I'm a developer and I'm a senior developer evangelist with Samsung Electronics, and pretty much my focus right now is around wearable devices, Tizen development, and in general Samsung technologies. Now, this is a big company and we have a lot of technologies, so quite likely I'm not going to be able to answer all your questions, but I will be able to find the right person to answer those questions. So that being said, let me tell you a little bit about the Samsung Developer Program. So you can go, I'm actually jumping here. You can go to developer.samsung.com and then you can join, and pretty much it's the best way for you to connect with the Samsung teams. So you're going to have access to new tools, access to the Samsung teams that can answer your questions and get a glimpse of emerging technologies, and in general get all the documentation and everything that you need to build applications or to build any system or program that you want to do with Samsung technologies. So it's always like the best way, the best bridge that you're going to have as a developer with Samsung as a whole. So first, let me check here a little bit about what we see in the chat. I see that some people are connected and some of you are already asking some questions. So I see, well, hello, thank you for the live chat. You're welcome. We really hope that you can enjoy it. And can you tell us a little bit more about the S-Health and some of the APIs that you can get access to? Yeah, absolutely. So, well, for everyone that doesn't know, like S-Health is the group of APIs that you can use, especially when you are developing with wearable devices, that you can use to get information or from the sensors, like steps, heartbeats, and things like that. So now, one thing that I will have to mention is, for example, that some of the devices that we are not even like making them available for everyone. We are making them available just for partners. So we say like, yeah, a regular developer perhaps is interested in this, but we need to know who we are giving access to this. So then the best way for you to go around that is to turn into a Samsung partner, and then you have access to that information. So there are sometimes things that I have had many developers just coming to me and saying like, hey, how do we do this? And it's like, as a regular developer, you can't. But you can turn into a Samsung partner and start working with us, and then you have access to all those things. And well, like you said, like there are some obscure pieces of information that perhaps only 2 companies in the world are using. So that's something that you're not going to find in our developer side. So that I'm going to take a small pause there, and then I'm going to ask anyone else, perhaps they also can do just like Wakaz, raise your hand in the chat and I can unmute you so you can also introduce yourself. But I'm going to talk a little bit about Tizen and about the site, because it has already been mentioned here. And this is just a general thing. I guess some of you may already know it, but I don't know how many of you do. And I don't think I'm sharing my screen, so share screen. I was already going sharing screen there. So I'll go back to the other presentation that I had. So Tizen, so what is it? So Tizen is an open source operating system. So it's Linux based, and the main contributor and the main of the project is Samsung. Usually, for Samsung, we have it in these main platforms where we use Samsung, that is wearable device, mostly the Galaxy Watches. So I have here, and where's the other one that I have here? The Active. So I was charging it. So you have Tizen there. On TVs,
We had some mobile phones that also were not using Android, but Tizen, and then also a lot of smart appliances. So I'm talking about like microwaves, laundry machines, home appliances, and things like that. So that's where you're going to find Tizen. So here it's where I'm mentioning the Galaxy Watch Active. So those are kind of like the ones that I've been spending a lot of time with lately. Particularly, the things that I like about these watches is that you can easily create companion apps for Android applications. So if you already have an Android application, you can also create like the companion app, not a version of the app, but a companion app that helps you to connect also with your wearable device. The other thing that I really like, well, the designs. So you can see that you have the Galaxy Watch and also the Active. Let me see. I don't know if I'm obscuring the Galaxy Active. So they have completely different designs, but both of them are circular, and they have this thing that I really like, that is the bezel. So in the Galaxy Watch, you have an actual physical bezel. In the Active, you have like a software one where you can go around, like just touching the edge, and you still can have the same interaction via software. And these are kind of like the types of apps that you can create there. So watch faces, watch apps. Normally, that could be anything. That it could be something like WalkS is doing a little bit more for the enterprise, and then also like games if you want, and then widgets that are widgets that are the little like shortcuts that take you to information or take you to a full app that you could have there. So, like how Wakas also was mentioning, we have this, like the entire architecture here is pretty much by layers. So, and we have like three main options. So I'm going to talk about that, and then I'm going to stop. So when you're going to create applications for Tizen, you have three main options right now. The first one is native, that is using C or C++. And then you can see it here in the architecture. That's the one that has access directly to the native APIs that come with the devices in general, regardless if it's a TV or if it's a watch. Then you have web apps, which is quite popular, obviously, because a lot of people do have knowledge about front-end development and obviously web development, so JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and you can create that almost like if it was a website. It's just that it's going to be application, and you can add a couple of libraries that can take advantage of what you have there. And finally, the newest addition is this one that is Tizen.net with C# and Xamarin. So .NET, if you know a little bit about that or not, then that's a technology, a framework that belongs to Microsoft. And we're using Visual Studio. So I'm going to jump here. So the IDEs that we're going to use are Tizen Studio for the web and the native app versions, and then Visual Studio that belongs to Microsoft for the .NET Xamarin applications. I really like this option because a lot of developers are already creating things for wearable devices, but it could be also for iOS. And Xamarin, that's the entire point, that you can do cross-platform development. So you can create the same application, directly go for Wear OS, so the Android version, pretty much, Tizen, so with Samsung, and iOS. And the only thing that you have to consider pretty much is the UI, and specifically because, well, like I showed here, the UI that you have for a watch, a Tizen watch or a Galaxy watch, it's going to be circular. So that's kind of like the main thing that you have to keep in mind when you are creating things with the Tizen.net Xamarin. So that's what I wanted to kind of like do an intro for everyone that didn't know about Tizen, in case that's the case. And now that I already kind of like did that, and I see that some more people have shared, if you guys want to talk about what you're doing right now or have any questions about what I just shared, just go ahead and raise your hand in the chat, and I can unmute you, and then we can talk about whatever you guys want about this Tizen. Just I wanted to share that and make it a little bit easier. Oh, okay. I see here. Oh, I see an item. Okay, so I see that there that this one was one of the watches. So I think I was when I shared the Galaxy Active. That, well, I don't know, like if you guys can see it. Yes. Well, it's the virtual background that I put is kind of like doing a weird thing with the watch. So over here, yeah, my face there. So covering my face, protects my face, and then you can see it. And then the other one that I was trying to share is the one that I'm wearing. Let me try to get there. So, and this is the vessel that I was telling you about. So I really like this because it's a physical way to interact with the applications that you create for Tizen. Well, for the Galaxy Watch, and that's something that you don't have in other watches. So I really like specifically creating applications that use that. And one of the things that is kind of like a personal project, I was doing like a small library for games that want to use that, especially for web applications, for web games. So with JavaScript and HTML, so it's there. Obviously the support is there, but I wanted to put it like in a nice library or a nice documentation, so you can use it right away and start using that, since it's one of the best features for me when I'm creating applications for the Galaxy watches. And I see that Idban is raising his hand. I think yeah, I think you're muted on your side. Trying to unmute you, and I'm not able to unmute you here. Yeah, now.
Like I said, I'm working on a wearable application. So the main issue that I'm facing right now is that I don't know how to keep the application working in background, how to keep the application alive, because it's a web, sorry, it is a web application.
Uh-huh.
And, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Just that I'm getting a little bit of like background noise from your side, so I'm not entirely certain that I'm getting everything.
It's just a okay. Hopefully, great. Okay, so is it fine now?
Much better. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So I'm working on a web application, and it's working on Samsung Galaxy or anything, any other watches. But the main issue that I'm facing right now is that I don't know how to keep the application alive in the background, because when the screen is off, the application is not working, and I've tried to figure out the way to keep the application alive, and I just tried many pieces of codes available on the internet, available on the Tizen developers forum, but I don't know the correct way to do this. Can you please guide me? Because I'm not sure my application is working in the background or not.
Good. Well, that's a really good question, but quite likely I will have to. I would have to kind of like guide you directly through the code. So if you want, what we can do is I can set up like an actual conversation just with you, so we can go directly through the documentation, and I can show you like piece by piece how to do it. And that's actually a great topic for me to create a blog post around. So usually what you have to do is pretty much in the certificate, in the well, it could be, well, if it's a web application, it's going to be in Tizen Studio. And I was sharing, I'm not sharing my screen right now. So in Tizen Studio, you pretty much, when you deliver your application to the Galaxy Store, you have to include in your manifest saying that it's going to be running on the background. And that's something that you have to ask permission for, because the applications that are running in the background tend to consume a lot of battery. So if the user doesn't want your application to be running in the background, they should have the ability to say, no, I don't want that. So that's something that you have to ask. But I think the best way for me to solve directly your question would be to kind of like set like a small conversation with you. And if you saw there, perhaps send me an email, and then we can set like some sort of conversation after this.
Yeah, I'll be very thankful for that, and I'll definitely contact you on the given email ID. I'll contact you for that.
Okay.
Because I've tried to get the permissions, the privileges for the application. I've mentioned it in the manifest file that it should it should get the it should work in the background
Yeah.
for the sensors. But when the application goes in background, the sensors doesn't work for me. So that's the
Okay.
main issue.
Okay. Okay. Then we can revise that if there's something missing how you're doing it. But well, if you're already asking for that in the manifest, then quite likely you're in the right way. Quite likely it's something that should be missing there. But then we can check it directly. We can do like a Zoom version like this, so you can share your screen and I can see what you are putting in on your application, and that way we can try to fix it faster.
Yeah, I'll be very grateful for that. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. And I see anyone else that would like to introduce him or herself and tell us what you guys are working on, or how is your experience with Samsung so far? If you want to raise your hand on the chat, that would be a great way for me to know that you want to talk.
I can ask another question. This is Wakas again.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So we made an app and we are kind of doing trials with one company, but mostly we installed the app not through the app store yet, just because it's not in a stealth mode. But we didn't launch the app, but did not want to launch the app yet. But when we launch the app, we are going to make some money off it. And how does it work out in terms of like launching it through the app store? Do you have like some idea of how much would you share, or is it just like Android apps where if you're making some money, you have to give some to some portion of it, the revenue share of that revenue that we make to Google or Apple? Is a similar model, or would you let small developers go in and launch things without that for at least a few days to test things? What that model looks like?
Okay, so I'm going to answer part of the question, and then I think Gavi is on the chat, so I'm going to ask her the other part because I don't want to give you the wrong percentage. So the first part is what do you do to submit? So the first thing would be to go to developer.samsung.com. That is the page that you have here. You have to, sign in or create your account. So you're going to have to create a Samsung account, or in this case, you can continue through Google. So I don't know why I'm not. It's in my other computer that I have it. Okay, let me see if I remember my password. This could be really bad. I don't know if I remember my password. Oh no, it already auto-completed, right? Yeah. Yes. Okay, so there you go. And I don't know why it's showing me this. I'm almost certain. So yeah, sure. Agree, and continue. So this is going to ask you like the first time, and then you're going to be here in the website, in the developer program, and you can go to dashboard. And from there, you should have the link that takes you to the, my Samsung account. And where is, could I find what you're looking for? No, that's the Tizen game tab. Trying to look for the store. And of course, I'm not finding the right link. Okay, I'll find you the right link. But pretty much, distribute. This is where I should go. Galaxy Store. Ah, man. That's what happens when you don't read the things. So Galaxy Store. So you should go to, for once. So everything here on the menu of the developer side is made for the different stages that you have to go through to create your own application. So Explore is just going to give you like a general overview of what we have in the developer program. Build is going to be on creating an application or creating some sort of program that has to do with any of these programs. So you can pick, in this case, would be the Galaxy Watch, but you can do that same thing with Bixby, SmartThings, Knox, everything here, you're going to find it. Design is going to be focused more on the design part of your application. So One UI, the Galaxy themes, the Galaxy Watch is then watch faces, things like that. And distributing, that's when you are ready and you are going to share that with the world. So this is the part where you're going to be. So you're going to go to the Galaxy Store, distribute Galaxy Store, then you're going to say that you're going to get started. That's going to open the, well, in this case, all the instructions on how to get to the store. So I don't know if you have created your account. You can do that for free, and that's going to take you to the seller portal. I'm going to try to open it in another tab. And here you also have to sign in. And then you have like two ways that you're going to do that. So if your application is free, pretty much you sign in, you give us your information, and you're almost ready right away to start submitting your applications. If it's a paid application, then you're going to have to give us a little bit more information that is going to be related with taxes. And then out of every sale, we're going to get, like, it's going to be a similar model, and you are going to take a small percentage. The question that I don't know if Gabby is connected, and I would like to ask her, is if she knows exactly what is the percentage, because I don't remember. Or Tony, or anyone else.
The percentage is interesting because, so watch is one part of the whole business, and we're funded startup. So the actual value is out of the analytics that comes out of it, which is using the healthcare information, personal information, but then combining it with other bits and pieces of information that certain organizations have around how the people work, the processes. So the money that we are charging them is not of the app. So app kind of goes for free for them, but then when the whole data comes in, it becomes a whole package, and then we end up selling you lots of watches. For example, if you go to so they may buy 5,000 watches after that, or something like that.
Yes. So then, well, for once, thank you to my team that they put it there. So I was thinking about 80%. So fortunately, I didn't say that out loud. Thank you. So 70% of the profit out of the sales directly on the Galaxy Store would be for the developers. 30% would be for Samsung. Then the problem is what you're talking about is not going to be charging the consumers out of the sale of the application. You can even give the application for free. So in that case, your application would just go free on there, and then quite likely you're going to have a subscription model. And then quite likely when you're going to do that, you will have to talk with us and be a partner, and then we're going to let you do that. But if pretty much your application, the only thing that it's doing is connecting to your service, then you are just going to distribute your application through the Galaxy Store, and then Samsung is not going to be involved in the charges or the way that you're going to do it. That you can use Samsung Pay to be able to pay directly through Samsung and well, any of your consumers, or you can do it through any other platform, but then you are not going to be involved directly in that subscription model.
And can we use, like, if we pay something to Samsung, and are there any marketing channels or go-to-market kind of approach that we could use with you, like maybe do a blog post with you together and say, hey, that this is a startup doing something, and obviously that will help a startup like ours, but obviously also help sell Samsung's platform that startups are using it and it's becoming popular, and it's a good thing for everybody to be on Tizen. Something like that. Is that possible?
Yes. So it's really great. This is what happens when I want to just kind of keep it really light, because I could have answered that question had I gone through the entire presentation that I had planned. So one of the things that we're telling you, like, hey, join the program, is not just to get access to the documentation and all the other things that that we have here, is the opportunity to have business promotion. So we do have directly on the developer side, for example, a blog section. And in this case, it's mostly focused on developers, right? So it's mostly focused on technical aspects. But here we can also help to promote some of the apps. For example, one of the last ones, it's right there, is about the best of Galaxy Store. This is from last year, from 2019. We're already working on the Galaxy Store winners for this year, 2020, but the year is still ongoing, so that's not the case. We can do this kind of thing. We can say like, hey, Waqas, he created an awesome application for the watch. We want to promote it. We want to show it there, and we can also promote it directly in the Galaxy Store as a premium application or a service that we want to partner with. So that's part of the benefits of joining the program, that we can try to work with you, and if it's an application that we want to promote, help you to get more users, then we can do that directly on the website or on the store, or on what we're able to talk and work with you.
Really good. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And right now, this is one of the things that no, that's a great question. I'm going to answer that question in a second. So, so this is one of the things that we want to do even more with our developers. Right now, we have thousands of developers that are directly creating things for the wearable devices, but many times they just create the application, they publish it on the Galaxy Store, and then they figure out like, well, we would like to have more ways to promote them, more ways to say, hey, download my application or talk with me. So I think the best way to do that is directly to be in touch with my team. We're the ones that are in charge of helping you not only in the technical part, but afterwards on the distribution of your applications for you to be successful. So I think next time that I do this presentation, I'm going to put like this business promotion, like a bigger, perhaps its own slide, because I think that's something that we can do better, and that sometimes developers don't know that you guys can do with us. So I'm going to stop sharing here, and I see a couple of questions. Where is it? Some webinar chat. Well, someone was asking me, I think Peter was asking me if there's a way to migrate from Android to Tizen. And I have it here in the Q&A, that's where it is. An easy way to migrate Android apps to work on Tizen. The best answer that I can give is no, there is not an easy way. But there are options about that, and let me go back to the presentation for a second, and then I'll get back to it. So again, here, and this has to do with Tizen. So the best way that we have right now to work with Android, and I'm talking about like to migrate or to use the same applications on Android and on Tizen, is if you're already using Xamarin, because then that is already a cross-platform application. But if you already have an application that is on Android, and then you just want to migrate it completely, depending on the device, that may not be even a good idea. Why? And I'm going to get back to this one. With wearables, specifically, like even the shape of the wearable is different than the shape of most smartwatches that you have in the market. Most of them are square. Ours is circular, right? This is what we were kind of like mentioning a little bit ago. So the UI, you would have to almost rework it if it's just a pure Android application and it's with Kotlin or Java or something like that. You would still have to rework that part completely. The other part, that it would be the logic, that it would be, again, Java, Kotlin, or something like that. The two things are also Linux-based, but they are different enough. And then you're not going to have, like, from Android directly access to the API, especially to the sensors that you have in our devices. So there's not a clear way. But if what you're trying to do is to get it to some of the other platforms like TV, still you're going to have such a form factor difference that there are so many differences that even if you could do it, that right now we're not giving you, besides Xamarin, a good way to take an Android application and move it directly to Tizen, I don't even know if that's such a great idea. And I do understand that as a developer, you're going to try to reuse a lot of things, but that's why specifically we try to make Tizen work with .NET and Xamarin. If you already want to do some cross-platform development, this is the best option that you could have with Tizen. Otherwise, what you can do is to create the companion apps. And in that case, what you're going to have is an app that runs on Android, and it could be for your cell phone, and then a version or like a companion that could give additional functionality on your watch. So for example, you could try to do, it's quite simple because it has been done before, an application that has to do with fitness. And then on your phone, you could have a part of the application or the main application that keeps track of your activity. But your watch is going to have access to many sensors that your phone doesn't have. So it is going to have access to your the number of the steps that you take during the day, your heart beat, your temperature, your sun exposure, a lot of things that you do not have on your phone. So then the best way that you could do it is pretty much create a new application that is going to communicate with your Android application. And we have all the documentation for that. And let me see if I can find it really quick. So that would be build Galaxy Watch. And I think we have a native companion, web app companion, or well, native, depending on what you want. And this one takes you through all the steps and the certification that you're going to need to be able to get a companion app with, well, an Android application and your wearable application. So well, you can see that it's telling you through all the steps, the configuration, run the web app, etc., and everything that you need to do to be able to do that. So I don't know if that answers your question completely. Let me stop the share and go back to the Q&A. So if that doesn't answer completely your question, like raise your hand and I'll go back. But in the meantime, let me go back here. Serdar, hello Diego, I'm developing watch faces with GWD and Tizen. The most critical issue Tizen is not getting the S-Health data. When Samsung will let us to do that? Thank you. Well, the S-Health data, that's something that right now we only give access to partners. So that's something that the S-Health team only give access to that API directly through partners. So the best way that you can do that is to go through the entire process of turning into a Samsung partner that you can also do through the developer.samsung.com site. And then get directly in contact with that team. So they don't like to give access to that API to everyone. I cannot really give you a good reason for that. That I know that that's part of the policy of that team, but that's the best way that you can have access to the S-Health data. But if you have a good application and show like a good use case scenario that you do need that data, quite likely they're going to give you access to it, and then they're even going to help you to promote the application when that is done. Another question here. Can we get sensors data continuously in the background as well in the wearable web application? That is similar to the question, or connected at least, that, well, that was you, yes. What I've known from the Tizen Developers Forum is that widget application is very lightweight application, and it also doesn't support the Tizen Advanced UI. Widgets, yeah. Is it possible that I convert my application, which gets sensors data and sends that to the web server, to a widget application? Yes, you can do that. The only problem that I mentioned is like to set it up correctly, and then you have to ask permission from your user. So if they accept, so that's something that you quite likely would have to prompt in your application as soon as they set it on your phone or when it's being installed, to be able to run in the background and then send information. Because especially in many countries, that's kind of like a sensitive issue. You're sending data, personal data, to a different server. So that's something that in many places they are not going to like so much. But Yes, it can be done. Pretty much the entire way to do that, and also quite likely you still will have to set up like almost a timer, because otherwise your application is going to consume too much energy, and say like, hey, every minute, every 10 minutes, check the sensor data and then submit it to whatever you want to submit it. But it's not something that we like in general, like especially with the internet, and because your watch usually would have to be using Bluetooth or Wi-Fi to be able to submit that information outside, that increases the energy consumption even more. So the short answer for that question is yes, it can be done. Your application can run in the background. It can collect data from your sensors, and you can send that information, well, process that information in your phone, and then send it to a web server. Yes. I don't think with a widget application, with a full-on application that will be running in the background. We can try to set up yours. I don't know if a lot of people are going to be happy that that is constantly sending information. That's something that we have had some kickback over time. Android Wear, what about Android Wear migration to Tizen? Yes, so the idea is to develop one app for any smartwatch. Right now, the best option that we have that works with Tizen is pretty much going back to Xamarin. So with that one, you would be able to create an application that runs on Wear OS, iOS, Tizen, and other applications. And then the only part that you would have to change on your project would be to just take into consideration the UI specifically that you need for the different OSs. But taking directly a full application that is already running on Wear OS and migrating it completely to Tizen, right now we don't have a tool or a capability that allows you to do that just with one click. That is something that the best way I think that we are recommending is just using .NET with Xamarin and Visual Studio. Let me see now the chat. Okay, well, yeah, thank you. Like, it seems that my team had been answering a couple of questions. So GWD, the Galaxy Watch Designer, that is something that you, oh man, I clicked on something. You're going to be able to go here, Galaxy Watch. This is the Galaxy Watch Designer. So it is a program that you can download on your computer, and it's going to help you to design the UI for your watch application. And it's also going to help you to put some functionality and some widgets directly there. And then you, as a designer, can create a watch face and an application without doing a lot of coding. So that's what GWD is. And then you have access to that right now here on the page. Yeah. Let's see, what else do we have here? Any documentation online for building watch applications that talk to small things sensors? Well, that's a good question. I do know that we have the smart things documentation that is directly here on the page. So build, you have the smart things, and of course we have the Galaxy Watch, but I don't know if we have any documentation that is already answering that question, you know, like how to connect to them. I do know that on Tizen, and again, I'm going to share my screen, on Tizen Studio, let me go here. When you're creating, well, let's say template, when you're creating an application, you have several options. So for mobile, for wearable, that is the one that I'm focused on, also for TV, that you have to download the right packages, and then this one that is custom, that is really IoT. So I think through IoT, we would be able to to connect to many smart devices. But I don't know if we have already like some documentation that guides you through that entire process. So that's a good question, and I'm going to have to write it down to look for that documentation to share in the next live chat. And since I'm here, you guys see that right now I have a lot of things on IoT that appear not installed. So I'm using another machine just in case you haven't done that before. One of the cool things that you can do on Tizen Studio is that you can go to the package manager. Sorry if it beeped there. Of course, I'm trying to do too many things in the same computer at once, including sharing my screen. Well, come on. Checking all the information on my Tizen Studio installed in this machine. So one of the cool things that you can do with Tizen Studio is that you can decide with which packages you want to install. So depending like the different versions, and in every version you can install different things like a native. I don't know why I don't have that, but for example here, and you can decide like additional tools that you're going to use. So quite likely when you were seeing here in that project for IoT that it was not installed, especially for I need at least that IoT headless. I haven't installed that. I have to do it through the package manager. So there are several things which I should check because we released a new version of Tizen Studio on Monday. So I don't know if I have all the latest versions of all my packages, so I should go back at some point and review this. Well, let me go back. Stop sharing. So the question that I see here, that if we have all that documentation about like how to talk with the smart things, I think the best way would be to do it through IoT, but I would have to find the right documentation and share that link with you guys in the future. And if anyone is interested, is still working on that right now, like I said, almost at the beginning of the chat, you can scroll back up and you're going to see my email. You can send me an email and then I can respond any of these questions, links, everything else. Can I design a fancy UI in the widget application? Well, it's not going to be incredibly fancy in the sense that the widget is supposed to be something small that you're going to include in the main page or in the first one, but you're going to point to like a full-blown application if you want, and there you can put any fancy UI that you want. You can go really crazy and make it incredibly visually appealing, or just go for something incredibly functional. It's still a little bit up to you, but yeah, you have a lot of options there. And if you're interested in the UI in particular, I think next week we're going to have a similar live chat, but with Tony Moreland, that he should be, I think I saw him connected at some point here in the chat. He's going to have his own live chat, and you can ask him a lot of design questions because he's the developer evangelist, but more focused on the design part of themes on the Galaxy watches and things like that. So he is much more in tune with the design part, and I would recommend you to also attend that live chat. Tony, can you talk for a second and let us know when is going to be your live chat? If you want to do like a small plug on terms of your live chat next week. I think you're not muted.
I can speak on that. So Tony's live chat is going to be this coming Tuesday, April 14th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. In the Zoom chat over there, I'm going to pop in the registration link shortly.
Perfect. Thank you, Dana. So you see, like if you have any more questions specifically around fancy UIs, well, he's the fancy UI guy. So you're going to have like a full hour with him, and also do follow up and get to know him a little bit more. And it's going to be a similar format than this one. Is there any way to deploy the Tizen Bands UI web application as web widget application to the device using the same package? That's a good question. I haven't done that. I have always done kind of like two different packages that you can download separately. That's a really good question. I don't have a good answer for you, Edwin. So I'll look into that if you can do all that in really nice package. But I think you can do it because you are going to package everything and say like, hey, and okay, yeah, I think thing is already sharing there. But that's a really good one. It seems that I will be down with you for quite some time. You have like really good questions about your specific UI and a specific app. So that is really good. Oh, I think I answered this one. Answer that. And that I see that Dana has shared the link for Tony's live chat, and that's it. So, well, we have 6 minutes before it's the end of the live chat. If you guys have more, especially technical questions, I don't know if I'm going to be able to answer them all in 6 minutes. I'll do my best. If not, please note the email. Like I said, like I shared it almost at the very beginning. It is diego.rivera@partner.samsung.com. You can send me emails directly there with technical questions, and I'll do my best to answer as soon as possible with the right links, or try to set up a follow-up conversation with you. In the case of Wakas, for example, that it seems that you are already quite, well, I think he disconnected already. But anyone else that is already quite advanced in their development and want to start, you're still there. Okay, so it seems that you are already quite advanced in your development process. So I would really like to connect and start working on what are like the next steps on how to publish your application, on how to promote it afterwards, and well, pretty much just making certain that, thank you, Dana, again, making certain that you are successful with your application. Well, that's what we want to do, and we don't want you to create an application for the fun of it. Although if that's what you want, that's what it's your hobby. Go ahead and do it by all means. But we want to give you the chance to be successful in the Galaxy Store and to be a good partner to Samsung. So make this a mutually beneficial relationship. So yeah. Apart from that, I don't know. Have like 4 more minutes. You guys want to share anything else that you're doing while almost everyone is isolating or quarantine, or at the very least trying to be cautious around the world, and what kind of development you're doing? Please, by all means, raise your hand, and I will try to talk a little bit with you guys. Thank you, Wakas. I'm really glad that people connect. We didn't know how many people were going to connect today, and I didn't know what kind of questions you were going to bring. So I'm really glad that we had some good time here. So yes, we are also going to try to set up live chats. So quite likely the best guys to know when we're going to do a new live chat is to go to our developer.samsung.com, or also rate us. Oh, that's mine. On Twitter. So you have it here. So Samsung_dev, Samsung developers. So here we do announcements on terms of the conferences, on the content that we are creating. So I think the live chat, it was promoted here. So whenever we're going to create a new one, we're going to announce it here. The same thing is going to Tony's live chat is going to be promoted here. So if you follow us on Samsung Developers on Twitter, quite likely you're going to have more information when we're going to attend a conference, whenever that's feasible, and whenever we're going to have live or on stream workshop in the future. So this is the best way to with us. And apart from that, personally, everyone that attended the live chat today, you already guys have my email, so just go ahead and send me a hello note, and I will keep in touch with you guys. So we're kind of like 2 minutes. Thank you very much. And apart from that, yeah, I would love to keep doing this. I will try every single time to bring some sort of like topic that I would like to talk about. If you guys don't have any questions, so at least I have something to share with you. And next one, perhaps I should focus a little bit more on the .NET development. So I already have it installed in this computer, but I haven't opened it in a couple of weeks. I would like to check before I try to share with you. It's a little bit unnerving to try to share something after a couple of weeks. Perhaps the latest versions have not been updated, and I don't know if my computer explodes after that. So it would be great to check all that in advance. And also, you can send me questions for future live chats, or you can send questions in advance, especially for future registrations. We're going to try to do them. And when you register beforehand, you can submit questions so I can prepare better answers for you and directly dive into those questions and answers. But if not, well, you're also welcome to bring them here. You can put them in the Q&A. That I see something else here that I think I haven't done. Yes. Can you please send the PowerPoint? The one you mean the one with the Tizen application? Yes, I can do that. Let me see. I'll have to check if there's anything else that I would like to take away. Then for Dana, like, do I have the chance to send them an email afterwards? Because then I can share that with them, with everyone that connected.
Yes, absolutely. We can connect with everybody offline afterwards.
Okay, so then I'm going to make certain that presentation is clean, so that I have updated links and all that, and perhaps add a couple of links then, and then you will have a follow-up email that will include that PowerPoint presentation around Tizen, and any online Tizen workshop. Well. I don't know. I'll announce that later. We do have some online workshops coming, but they are with a small group. So right now we don't have anything that is going to be like open for everyone, like this live chat. But perhaps that's something that we should discuss. And if there is any interest in doing like an intro to Tizen or cover something like that, also let me know. It would be great to create more of these online events and have more technical things to share with you. So yeah. So to answer the question in the Q&A, yes, I will send in the PowerPoint. Thank you for noting that. And apart from that, just stay tuned so we can see even more events in the future.
Thank you, Diego, and thanks everybody.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for joining. I really enjoyed this conversation, and yeah, I hope that we can have more soon.
Thanks. Yeah, it was very enlightening. So yeah, thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Cheers. Okay.
Bye.